Hey, so we went up to AOAA in our Jeep for this green guided ride with off-road consulting. I think it was a Wheeling for Wildlife ride. So some of the money was going to a conservation. Oh yeah, please subscribe and like. That'd be awesome. So this is AOAA. This is the entrance right here. Um, a lot of the video is going to be sped up because you don't really want to watch 8 hours of video. So there's not going to be a whole lot of background audio. To the left here is a campground. It's called the Trailhead Campground, and to the right that was a lunch pavilion and everything. This is the main office to AOA that we're coming up to, where you check in and everything. We have season passes, so we don't really have to go in there and check in. We can just show our pass to the guard or whatever, the gate person, and then we can go out. They have like real bathrooms like in that building. Some of the places that you go just have like the porta potties, and some places don't even have that. So this is nice that it actually has real legit bathrooms. They also have another event going on today. It's like Take to the Streets or something. And this is a really large parking lot that everybody stages at. They take their trailers or their Jeeps or whatever. And you'll be able to see a little bit more of it, later on. So there's a really well-built Jeep. It looks like probably those are 1 tons. It looks like on the front and back, without even just you could tell because it's so wide. So normally this parking lot slowly but surely fills up, and people bring their trucks in with trailers and they unload what they're going with. But this is really early in the morning. They aren't even open yet. We're just pulling in. So usually off-road consulting, they do these rides. I don't know how the frequency, if it's like every other week or maybe once a month. They're pretty frequent. You can go to the website and see. But anyway, you line up in the back of the lot and you look for the logo on their vehicle. And I'm not going to line up behind them. I'm going to like kind of veer off to the side because I know that they have some different things going on. Like that's Kyle's Jeep over there on the far left. So anyway, like I don't know, half an hour, maybe an hour's passed, and you can see the parking lot starting to fill up. So all these Jeeps that are lined up with us are the people that are lined up to go out with Kyle and such. The far right side here is the 101 class, and they're actually going to go through like a training class with Kyle, and he'll help them out. That's my Jeep on the left. There's Grace right there, obviously. The people on the left, there's actually 2 lines on the left that they're actually trying to form right now. So it only looks like one right now. Anyway, the people on the left are the people that are just going out on the green ride. It's a guided ride. So the difference between like the training versus the guided ride is on the guided ride is you just like kind of like driving around and checking things out, and they have different difficulties, just like kind of like skiing difficulties, like green, blue, black, red. Red would be like the really hard. And then the right side are the people that are lined up that want to go through the class, and they want to have pointers and tips. And Kyle will set up obstacles and stuff, and that's a really really nice gladiator, by the way. That's why we stopped to look at it. Kyle will set up different obstacles and stuff, and different situations, and kind of let you see the difference between airing down and not airing down, and what traction control does, and the difference between like 4 low and 4 high, and off canter, and like all kinds of different real kind of basic skills that you need to know. Yeah, that was a really nice Gladiator. That one was similar to mine. But you can see that there's all kinds of different Jeeps out here, and it's not just Jeeps. There's some pickup trucks out here too. There's another Gladiator, Rubicon again. And obviously, if you're not a Jeep person, the Gladiator is a brand new model that just came out. They didn't have the pickup truck one for like a long time. And here they are still trying to organize. So it looks like a whole lot of Jeeps. Like I get that it does, but in the end, like for our line, there was only 7 Jeeps plus the guide that was in the front and the person in the back that was a tail gunner. So a total of 9 Jeeps. That's not like a ton. Right now, it's just we're just sort of organizing. But I'm just sort of walking around checking out different Jeeps, and a lot of these streets Jeeps. I mean, you might even see them on the street just like next to you or whatever. They're not really super pimped out or whatever. But this is what everybody's doing. People are airing down. If you notice, people messing with their tires or letting the air out of their tires. So this is the other line. I don't know how many participants total were lined up for each thing, but if I had to take a guess, maybe it was like 7 per group that was going out, and then maybe 15 in the class or something like that. I'm not really sure. And I mean, I know that sounds like a lot, but the way that the class works is, Kyle will set up an obstacle or have an obstacle in mind, and then he'll get out and go to the stand at the obstacle, and then everybody gets their turn on the obstacle, and he gets to show you like one-on-one with you, like what you need to know. So anyway, so here we go. And this is like way sped up, about 20 times the normal speed, just because I don't want to have like 8 hours of video. This is like 20 minutes of video, which is quite a bit. And you can see, so we went to the west side. This is the west side of AOA. The other group went to the east side of AOA, and we'll go to the east side in the afternoon. The west side, there's 2 areas on the west side that there's like a northern half and there's a southern half. So the northern half is just like kind of like flatter, kind of plainsy, kind of like light brush side, and then the southern side, which we just kind of touch on a little bit, is a more like rocky side. And there are blues over here and blacks, and there are actually some reds even on this side of the park. But we're not going to go through any of those. We're going to go through the easy stuff. And um, this is more than a gravel road. I know it looks kind of like a gravel road, but there are like obstacles and stuff, and you'll see that somebody actually gets stuck at a certain point. One of the stock Jeeps, actually the Jeep right in front of me, that one there. And we stop every so often. When we stop, it's mainly just to go to the bathroom, or stop to stretch your legs or eat, or something like that. But this is kind of what a green guided ride is like. And I don't know the exact distance that we went today. I didn't really look at the end of the day, but usually the distance is about 14 miles, 15 miles. In rare cases, it's a lot more than that. But the speed that you're traveling, and you're traveling for, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours, you're going like 4 or 5 miles per hour, maybe at that. Because you're in 4 low and you're not really like gassing it. And like I said, this is sped up about 20 times the regular speed. So this is what your typical green guided ride looks like. So I did mention we did air down. The air pressure that you normally air down to depends on your tires, but usually it's somewhere in the range of 10 to 15 psi. And then if you have like the beadlock tires, which are like the off-road only tires that have like little metal, they're actual beadlocks. They hold the tires on the rim. If you have those, then you can go way super down, like 5 psi or something, or 7 psi. But for the most part, everybody here had more like street Jeeps, like more like regular Jeeps that were their daily drivers also. They didn't like trailer them in, with the exception of my Jeep that was a little bit more pimped out than everybody else's, because really the Jeep that I have was kind of overbuilt for just doing greens. Anyway, so probably everybody here was around 15. I think that we aired down to like maybe 17, just because I was being lazy. I didn't really air down as much as necessary. It softens the ride a little bit. It also makes it so uh, you can climb over rocks more, because like the way that it works is you do have like the little like treads or whatever like on the tires, but it's more of like the tire like wrapping around the rock, so it's almost like the tread doesn't really matter so much if you air down, if that makes sense. But we do have mud terrain tires on our Jeep. And every so often you'll see that we run into some traffic where we run by some ATVs or something, and most of the people here are pretty courteous. Occasionally you run into people that are not really courteous, but most of the time they're pretty courteous, and they'll either get over or we'll get over. So this is one of the scenic overlooks that we stopped for, and we're back at regular speed. And you can see we can see quite far. This is Pennsylvania that we're in. I don't really know like how far, and you'll be able to see how small our group is. That's my Jeep again. People are loving the Corgi, obviously. So I think we're the second Jeep in line. The third if you include the leader. So there's, like I said, I think it's a total of seven Jeeps that are with us. and we did end up with one of the gladiators with us. Apparently, they were probably lined up in the wrong line. That's one of the reasons why, when I go places and stuff, and there's parking lots and stuff like that, I don't immediately get behind people and get like blocked in. Instead, if I don't know where to go, I just like park in the grass or something. I park like way far away, and then like I figure out where I need to be, and then I come back. So this is a Gladiator right here, kind of nice looking. It has these roto packs in the back. I don't know if that's like normal or if that's something he added. The roto packs or whatever, the red one is gasoline and the white one is typically water, and that way you can carry a little bit of extra gasoline and stuff without losing your bed. So really, really nice pickup. I think I like the white one better, honestly. Not to put that one down, but that one's very nice too. You can see everybody kind of has slightly different vehicles. I don't really know what this thing is that he has on his roof, this roof rack thing. It looks like it's some kind of tent thing. It says ARB on it, which is a brand of compressors that normally used with lockers. But it looks like maybe it's some kind of tent thing where you can like sleep on top of his Jeep or something. I'm not really sure. He was saying that there was some kind of noise it's on the front of his Jeep somewhere that he wasn't expecting, and he was trying to figure out what that was. But you can see everybody just sort of sitting around, standing around, talking, kind of checking out the scenery. So it isn't just like all like go, 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 drive, drive, drive. We do stop and like, when we get places like hang out and stuff, and that's, part of it, and stretching out and playing with the Corgi. So, so anyway, this is obviously my Jeep right here, and I don't, yeah, you can tell I didn't park straight, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I have a little step stool for Kimberly, so it's a little bit easier to get in, especially when I'm, off canter a little bit like that on the 40s. It's actually a pretty big jump. So here we are again. We're gonna get going again. So this is the west side of AOAA. I think we are heading from the overlook. That isn't like the overlook. That is like, I think they call it the northern overlook. There's another overlook that they have that is like concrete that they built up. It overlooks a little lake. That's like the other one is the overlook, but this is like a northern overlook. And as you saw, we just passed some ATV people. We keep passing ATV people. Um, Most of the time, people are pretty courteous. Either they get out of your way or you get out of their way. It just depends on where you are on the trail, and if you think there's a spot that you see that you can easily get over, then you get over, obviously, because like if we approach a group and they approach us, whichever one of us has a spot we can get over, we get over, because we know that the other ones may not have that spot. But for the most part, like most of the time, like the ATVs get out of the way of the Jeeps. It's not usually the other way around. Just because ATVs are so much smaller and easier to get up in the bushes, it's a lot harder to get the Jeeps off the trail if you run into another group. But I mean, we do it sometimes. And yeah, I know it looks like we are flying. I'm telling you, this is 20 times the speed. Like literally, like if I put this on regular speed, you guys would be falling asleep if you haven't already fallen asleep. But this gives you a good kind of preview of the west side of AOAA. So right now we're heading back to go get lunch, and there'll be some footage showing the pavilion and everything for AOA. And as you can see, as the day progresses, we run into more and more side-by-sides and ATVs and um, motorcycles. So I keep using the different words. Sometimes people don't know the difference between these different vehicles. The motorcycles are obviously motorcycles. They only have two wheels. The ATVs are the ones you ride them kind of like a motorcycle, but they have four wheels. Like you put your foot, leg over like the centerpiece, and then it has four wheels and there's no cab around you. And then the side by sides look more like little tiny Jeeps. Normally, you actually sit in a normal looking seat, and you sit side by side, as in like you're sitting next to somebody if there's a passenger with you. And this Jeep in front of us, she keeps picking up branches, so we keep having to get out and cutting the branches off her vehicle. So anyway, the side by side, like I said, you sit side by side, and then right now we're getting ready to head back to the parking lot, and we'll enjoy lunch. So this is a parking lot. You can see it's much more full now that it's lunchtime. More people have gotten here, and we'll go back to regular speed a little bit so you can see the inside of the pavilion without getting too sped up. So this is our group on the left. The guy with the hood up came over to ask us if he had a code reader so he could check some code that he had on his vehicle. You can see the parking lot is actually pretty full. The right side over there, those Jeeps belong to the 101 group with Kyle. And he's obviously with the same group, but we broke into three groups. This is our party right here that are at the picnic table with us. The two picnic tables are ours. And then they have this little restaurant here that serves food. They cook it in the back, whatever, hot dogs and stuff like that. I don't actually know if they have hot dogs, but it's that kind of food. And they have Cokes and everything like that. So even if you forget to bring lunch, you can always pop up here and get lunch. So AOAA, once again, Anthracite Outdoor Adventure Area. There's a main office. They actually have real restrooms in there, unlike a lot of the different places. And that's our group. The white one right there, that's mine, the third one. And that this is like the lunch area, whatever. If you decide to come to the lunch area, some people just eat lunch on the side of the trail. They just find a nice kind of wooded, shady area, whatever, wherever they want to sit. And so this is the east side of AOA. And once again, I mean, this is a green guided ride. So this point right here is actually kind of silly. You see, it looks like I kind of got stuck. I didn't get stuck there. Well, maybe I did get stuck, but it was kind of stupid. So I have like the 40-inch tires. So the 40-inch tires make it so it's like really hard to make turns. In that, like, on most vehicles, you can turn the steering wheel maybe like say 3 times to the left and 3 times to the right. On mine, because I have the 40-inch tires, the tires are so much bigger, they rub against the frame when you make the turn. So I can only turn the steering wheel maybe like 2 times, where everybody else can turn the steering wheel 3 times. That's why you see me making a lot of problems with 3-point turns. So whenever I have the opportunity, like especially in parking lots and stuff, I put it in 2-wheel drive because it seems like it's easier to make turns in 2-wheel drive. So anyway, I had the vehicle in 2-wheel drive, and then she said, "Hey, you can go up that little rocky area." And I went up it, and in my mind I thought I was in 4-wheel drive, so I thought I would just crawl right up the rock, and I was in 2-wheel drive. And I actually had a little panic attack there. You couldn't really tell, but I get up to the rock real kind of slowly, and I put the wheel up next to it, and I look out the window, and I'm trying to figure out why the Jeep isn't moving. And when I look out the window, the thing that kind of caught me off guard was the front wheels weren't moving. And if you know that that much about vehicles and stuff, when you have them in 4-wheel drive, and you push on the gas, the expectation is all the wheels turn, like at least one of the front wheels turns and at least one of the back wheels turns. And I didn't see the front wheels turning at all. Like the back wheels were spinning, but the front wheels weren't moving at all. And so literally I thought that I had broken an axle or broken a drive shaft. I hadn't heard any noises, but I knew that it was totally not normal to see one set of wheels moving and the other ones. And I literally went back and forth 2 or 3 times, not wanting to say anything about the axle being broken, until I realized that it was just stupid that I just didn't have it in 4-wheel drive. It was so silly. So anyway, that was there was no real breakage or anything today. So this is all just a green guided, nice little trail ride. And this is the east side that we're on. And you can see, I mean, anybody can come out here. You need to have at least 2 Jeeps when you come out here. Two vehicles. It's not safe to come out here by yourself because, heaven forbid you have a mechanical problem or blow a tire out or whatever it is. You don't want to get stuck in the middle of nowhere, obviously. So this is a very large group that was next to us, and I think that group, it was Central Area Jeep Wranglers Club or something like that. And I found it really quite interesting because I actually looked them up on the web. That the club name was Jeep Wranglers, specifically the club only accepts Jeep Wranglers. And the thing that I kind of found funny about Wranglers is everybody, when they think Wranglers, they think the square body Jeeps. And I believe that Chrysler trademarked the word Wrangler in the 80s with the square headlight Jeeps. So really all the classic ones, the CJs and stuff, the CJ5s and the CJ7s, I don't technically think those are Wranglers. Like I know that they're like where all the modern Jeeps came from, but back then they didn't call them Wranglers, and even now they don't really call those Wranglers. They call them CJs. Those are side by sides that we passed. I mentioned the difference between there's another one. Like I said, it looks like a little baby Jeep, kind of like where you sit side by side versus um, 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 in front of each other, so to speak. So. So anyway, you'll notice that there's a little bit more hill climbs and stuff on this side, on the east side. So for the most part in the park, what you'll see is the park is divided east and west, which is basically where that road is. And then if you go to the northern part of either side of the park, it's a little bit flatter. So the northeast or the northwest would be flatter. It doesn't mean that there's no rocks there. It just means that it's flatter. And then the southern part of the map, at least the bottom part when you look at the map, is the more mountain side. So definitely, like when you're on the southeast side, you definitely go like way up the mountain. So this right here, she got stuck. She picked a line or whatever, and then I think she got distracted or something, and then she slid off the line. When I say line, she picked like how she wanted to go through there, and she wasn't, she got distracted or something, and the vehicle slid a little bit off where she wanted it to be, and then it got kind of stuck where it got kind of high centered where one of the rocks was like in the center. But I mean, she didn't really get stuck per se. You didn't see us actually have to winch her out of there or anything. It was just she was a little bit unsure. Whenever you hear like a loud crunching noise, or whatever, and you're driving, you can get worried a little bit. So we just kind of got out and gave her a little some tips on how to get unstuck. So if you ever get stuck like that, I mean, the rule of thumb is basically the first thing is you get out and look around, like look at your vehicle, see how it's stuck. It may not actually be stuck, but either you or somebody else needs to get out and like look and see. And one of the comments she made to me when I was telling her what to do was like, hey, you need to put your tire on this rock, and she's like, well, I can't see the rock, right? And I get you can't see the rock because you have this big giant monster hood. But it's like, this is only her second time out, which is, she's doing great for the second time out. But, I told her, I'm like, well, I stick my head out the window. Like, literally, if I want to know, like, how to put this tire, like, on that particular rock, like, I obviously can't see through the hood. So, you'll see half the time I'm sticking my head out the window. And I know that, like, they say, oh, don't put your things out the window because you can roll over and crush them or whatever, but you have to be able to see in front of you, right? So, I stick my head out the window and I look, literally out the window at the rocks to see if I can get the rocks. So this, don't do that. I know, like Dave will see that and he'll be like, "What the heck?" And don't cross lines or move cones. But we were with somebody that said that it was okay to do that, as in we were with like off-road consulting, and they said they have special rights. So anyway, this is a wilderness ride. At the end of the day, basically everybody lines up. You don't normally line up here, but we were allowed to line up here because of the special ride that we were doing. And at the end of the day, you obviously put the air back in the tires. We took the air out so it would be a softer ride, but then you put the air back in so you can drive home. So that's what like a typical day looks like when you go out. It obviously gets harder or easier and stuff depending on the difficulty. Oh, please like and subscribe. Thanks.